He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic brain emanates. Oh, Master, please be merciful unto us, and lift the shade of the Lord's Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabhava Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janabhava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Ranachari Tira Ranachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gornitai ki Sisi Radha Kanti ki Srila Prabhupada ki Srimad Bhagavatam ki So we're in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, and now it's the 5th chapter. Is that it? The 5th? Chapter 5? Chapter 5. Okay. And the title of the chapter is Vidura Talks with Maitreya. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiriyet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivasesha Sunyavari Paskita Desatane Srila Prabhupada Ki Hare Krishna. So, text 2. Vidura Vacha. Oh, make it my other vehicle. Oh, do I have them? Alright, shoot. I already got them. Let's get them. Sukhaya. Karmani. Karoti. Loko. Sukhaya. Karmani. Karoti. Loko. Sukhaya Kamani Karoti Loko Na Tai Sukham Vanyad Uparamam Va Na Tai Sukham Vanyad Uparamad Va Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukam Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukam Yad Atra Yuktam Bhagavan Vanding Na Yad Atra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadaina Vidur Uvacha Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loka Loko Nathai Sukham Vanyat Uparam Va Vindeta Bhuyas Tatra Eva Dukam Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparama Va Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukam Yadatra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadana. Was that 2 or 3?
That was 3.
Okay.
Vidura
Vacha
Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko
Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko
Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparamam Va
Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparamam Va
Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukkam
Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukkam
Yadatra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadena
Yadatra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadena
Vidura Vacha Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko
Sukhaya Karmani
Karoti
Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparamam Va
Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparama Va
Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukkam
Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukam
Yaratra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadena
Yaratra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadana
Vidura Uvacha
Vidura Vacha
Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko
Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko
Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparamam Va
Natai Sukham
Vindeta bhuyastata eva dukam.
Yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadena.
Yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadena.
Vidurvacha Akame karoti loko
Sukhaya karmani karoti loko.
Nate sukam panyaruparam
Nate sukam panyaruparamamba.
Natena vishestate eva dukyam
Vindeta bhuyastata eva dukam.
Yadatra yukam bhagavan vidamna
Yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadena.
Vidurvacha.
Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. Natai sukham manyaruparamamba. Vindeta bhuyastata eva dukam. Yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadena.
Okay. Word for word. Vidura uvacha.
Vidura vacha.
Vidura said.
Vidura said,
Sukhaya,
Sukhaya,
for attaining happiness.
for
Attaining
attaining
happiness.
Karmani,
Karmani.
fruit of activities.
Good activities.
Karoti,
Karoti.
everyone does so.
Everyone does so.
Loka,
Loka.
in this world.
in this world.
Na,
Na.
never.
Never.
Tai,
By
by those activities.
By
those activities.
Sukam,
Sukam,
any happiness.
any happiness.
Va,
Va,
or anyat,
Anya,
differently.
differently.
Uparam, yeah, that's it. Situation,
Satiation.
oh, satiation, right, thank you. I was testing to see if you were paying attention and you passed. Va,
Va.
either.
Either.
Vindeta,
Videta,
achieves.
Achieves.
Bhuya,
Bhuya.
on the contrary.
on the contrary.
Tata,
Tata.
by such activities.
By such activities.
Eva,
Eva.
certainly.
Certainly.
Dukam,
Dukam,
miseries.
miseries.
Yat,
Yat.
that which.
That which.
Atra,
Atra,
under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances.
Yuktam,
Yuktam.
right course.
right course.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan.
oh great one.
Oh, great one.
Vandet,
Vandit.
yes, Vandet. May kindly enlighten.
May
May kindly enlighten.
Na,
Na.
us.
Us.
The translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Vidura said, "O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please therefore give us direction on how one should live for real happiness." So we had the backstory yesterday, why this is happening. Maitreya told him to go and seek out. No, who was it? Uddhava told Vidura that he should go. Vidura asked Uddhava what he heard from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Uddhava says, I'm not qualified because I'm your junior in age. And so the etiquette is that you should seek out someone either older spiritually or physically older. And in this case, Maitreya is physically older, and Maitreya had just heard the same thing that Uddhava heard. So Uddhava says, he suggests, just go on down the river there and meet him up. Is it Hardwar? Is it? Meets him in Hardwar, but he told him to ask. I think it's going to say here. Told him to ask about the Lord and what the Lord said, but he starts off in a slightly different way. So please repeat. Vidura said,
Vidura said,
"O great sage,
O great sage,
everyone in this world
everyone in this world
engages in
engages in
fruit of activities
fruit of activities
to attain happiness,
to attain happiness.
but one finds neither
But one finds neither
satiation
satiation
nor mitigation of distress.
nor mitigation of distress.
On the contrary,
On the contrary,
one is only aggravated
one is only aggravated
by such activities.
by such activities.
Please, therefore,
Please, therefore,
give us directions
give us direction
on how one should live
on how one should live
for real happiness.
for real happiness.
Vidura said, O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness. I mean, that's what everyone's doing. But one finds neither satiation nor mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please, therefore, give us direction on how one should live for real happiness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura asked Maitreya some common questions, which was not originally his intention. Uddhava asked Vidura to approach Maitreya Muni and inquire into all the truths concerning the Lord, his name, fame, quality, form, pastimes, entourage, etc. And thus, when Vidura approached Maitreya, he should have asked only about the Lord, but out of natural humility, he did not immediately ask about the Lord, but inquired into the subject which would be of great importance to the common man. So he's concerned about us. A common man cannot understand the Lord. He must first know the real position of his life under the influence of the illusory energy. In illusion, one thinks that he can be happy only by fruitive activities. But what actually happens is that one becomes more and more entangled in the network of action and reaction and does not find any solution to the problem of life. And then you know what the problem of life is, actually. There is a nice song in this connection. This is kind of unusual. Because of a great desire to have all happiness in life, I built this house. But unfortunately, the whole scheme has turned to ashes because the house was unexpectedly set on fire. Of course, this is for fruitive workers, not for devotees who are building houses.
Houses are not easy to take care of,
But, yeah, but they're doing it for devotional service, and this is completely different. So we have to make that point here. And now unexpectedly the house set on fire. The law of nature is that everyone tries to become happy by planning in this material world, but the law of nature is so cruel that it sets fire to one's schemes. The fruitive worker is not happy in his schemes, nor is there any satiation of his continuous hankering for happiness. You know, there's so many things to talk about on this one. But I want to relate a story that I witnessed actually when I think I was in 5th or 6th grade. I was walking home from grade school, and I was right about 2 blocks from my house, about a block from the school. I mean, I think I was that old. I sometimes in my mind, because occasionally it was a seminal moment in my mind, in my life actually, and I've thought about it so much. Sometimes I think what I was thinking at the time. I must have been older, but I think it was probably like the 6th grade, which would have made me about 11 or 12, I guess. And it was in the middle of the afternoon, right after school, and there's fire trucks everywhere, and you just see flames shooting up, and this house was on fire. And the man who owned the house, I didn't know this family, but he was mad. He just lost all control. He just all of a sudden he started running towards the house. It's my house, my life. You don't understand. And he starts running right into the fire, and they tackle him and bring him back. No, let me go. This is my house. This is my life. And I was like, wow, he wants to run into the fire. I couldn't believe it. And it's like, and then they finally settle him down, and they turn him back on him, and he starts again. Later I thought, well, maybe he had a lot of money in there, some cash or something, but just for the possessions of the furniture and photo albums seemed a little drastic, but that's the way it is. I worked on my life, it's gone! He's like, he completely lost it. Well, I can sort of relate, because one time I was sliding on a day like today, but less rain. It was a misty day, and I'm driving, just coming through a red light, and I'm driving maybe 10 miles, 15 miles an hour, and there's a 18-wheeler right in front of me, probably 30 feet away, 40 feet away. And I put my foot on the brakes, and I just keep sliding in slow motion. And he's trying to turn left. I can't go to the right because it's traffic, and the left is just a double yellow line, and I can't go across it. And I'm like pulling back, no. And I slid right underneath the truck. And the bar that's down here at the bottom was right here in my face. And
Were you a devotee at that time?
Huh?
Were you a devotee?
Oh yeah. It was a difficult point in my life, but so but that kind of like pulling back. I want to stop it. I see what's going to happen, and back to this man's house. I mean, when I saw that and it started to accumulate many events after that led me to Krishna consciousness. I really believe that because I saw different things happen. Like, for instance, my friend, who was a girl, her father, and he was showing me how he achieved all this success in 25 years or whatever it was. I'd worked really hard for my family, and now I have this, and he's basically wanting me to be, take care of his daughter, and he was showing me all around, and you can have this position, and so on and so forth. And at this point in my life, I'm already very, very skeptical of the 9-to-5 life and society. It was the time of what you would call the counterculture. We're starting to see through the cracks of our civilization, and people working very hard and becoming alcoholics, or divorce, and this or that. And 2 weeks after that event, he passed away, approximately, maybe a month, from cancer. And that particular event, when he died, was a moment where it clicked, because I'd already been around devotees, and I was resisting. I wanted them to prove to me that they were right. I knew inside, but I wanted concrete evidence. And I read the Krishna book, I read the Bhagavad Gita, been on Harinam, but I still was holding back for a few issues. And I knew I had to surrender. And so I go to this, I wrote out when he died, they were Jewish, so they have what they call Shiva, which means that they sit around, they have a big long table with all these, like a feast, and they sit around and glorify the person who passed away. And I had written a card, and I just read the Krishna book, so I thought I was doing a great thing. When you're first becoming a devotee, you don't realize that what you think is great, nobody else does. And so I wrote the speech that Vasudeva gave to Kamsa. Why are you so afraid of death? Death is born along with your birth. It's already there. And I wrote it all out, and I walked in the door, And they were furious. The mother, the sisters, the girlfriend, all the aunts and the cousins, and they're attacking me, coming at me. How dare you? I said, what? What? You know, and so so I'm really getting it, and there's a backstory to this, that I had just seen Prabhupada. I just finished reading the book, the Krishna book, and I just seen Prabhupada arrive 2 weeks before. I saw him arrive on television at LaGuardia, and or else it was Kennedy, I don't remember, but they showed it, and I go, that's the author of the book I just read. I'm going to go and see him. But I had a magazine that only had 26 2nd Avenue, and they were on Henry Street. I didn't know. And the thing is that for 2 years, wherever I went, I lived in Boston, I lived in San Francisco, I couldn't avoid devotees. I could not see them. And I would always get into a debate with them. And now I want to go see them, and I can't find them. I usually would hear because they're all in Brooklyn. They have big fire, what do you call it, initiations. And this was 1971 or 70, and I started thinking. I literally walked the entire length of Manhattan, back and forth like this. It took me an entire day, and I thought, well, I guess Krishna's everywhere. So I just resolved that, Krishna's everywhere, and I'll just chant Hare Krishna. But the thing was, the way, so then I go to this Shiva, this funeral, and I'd written the card, and now they're attacking me and attacking the philosophy that I've been arguing against, debating. Why, this, why that? And now I'm defending Krishna consciousness. I'm preaching to them. And then all of a sudden, one of the cousins said, you sound just like one of those Hare Krishnas that live on Henry Street in Brooklyn.
Henry Street.
Henry Street in Brooklyn. You mean, is that when you change at Jamaica, that train? He goes, yeah, you take this such and such train, you change to Jamaica, and get up at Fulton? Yeah. Oh, okay. The next day I was gone. That was that. Krishna reciprocated, but I had to, But in any case, the point is that in a flash, this man loses his house. This man lost his life. And there was another, there's so many examples like this. Like, right around, this happened years later, but a very famous, wealthy celebrity named Bob Hope, he had built this huge house on top of a hill. And he owned a lot of Hollywood, like Hollywood Hills. There's a subdivision where a lot of TV people and people in the television industry were living. They had horses in the back, and I knew some people there. We would go horseback riding in the hills. He built this big thing up on top of on the hill, and it took a few years, and it was a new experimental material, a new kind of like foam or plastic or something. And he was doing it as a concept house that would show that you can have a house that has everything in it. Everything and you would never have to leave your house. And there was a spark. The day before he was to move in, just a little spark, and the whole thing went. Millions of dollars, years of work and design, gone. Like just flash, like that. So there's so many things that we see. And if you've ever, there was a show that I used to watch all the time. Okay, I'm in mine. It's called American Castles on A&E. And it would show all the famous, most wealthiest people from the Gilded Age and the houses they built. Beautiful houses, the architecture, everything about the landscape, everything was beautiful. Every one of those people, there was some tragedy right after they the house was, they never got to live in it, or the wife that they built it for died, or, you know, it was just, or all of a sudden then their income collapsed and they couldn't support it. You know, they were just showing the architecture in the house, but their lives they never got to enjoy it. Maybe for a year or 4 years. It was fascinating. So, I mean, the point is obvious that this material world, first of all, we have to know that we're suffering before you can get serious about Krishna consciousness. Most people don't know. They're always asking you, "How are you?" Which great! You know, that's right there is a giveaway. This guy's miserable. And but I always hated that question. What do you mean? How am I? How am I? What do you mean? At what? What am I? What are you asking me about? So, so they're constantly like reaffirming each other. We're good, right? Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. There may be a few ups and downs right now with the economy. We'll be all right. No, you're miserable. You don't even know. There's no way. Did you hear so-and-so died? Wow, what a big surprise. Really? Someone died? Everyone dies. Everyone gets sick. Everyone has tragedy in their life. I'm not trying to just... But the fact is, we're in an environment that we don't belong. We're like oil and water. We don't mix. We're spiritual energy, anti-material energy. We're particles of God. And we're in this inferior energy, and we're trying to pretend like we forgot about the spiritual world, and we want happiness. Because why? We are eternally blissful, but nothing we do in this world gives us that same bliss. Nothing. Doesn't matter whether it's fame, fortune, intoxication, whatever you try, knowledge, no matter what you do in this material world, it can never give you the bliss that you're looking for, or the knowledge that you're looking for. Everyone wants to know what's going on, who they are, unless you completely cover it over. And you can't get it in this material world through they can dig all they want. They can dig all the holes they want, do all the archaeological digs they want, and they can't find out that Krishna is God and that they're not the bodies by doing that. You can be the biggest telescope in the world, the most powerful telescope in the world. You'll never see the spiritual sky that way. You'll never pierce the coverings of the universe. You can have those huge, dishes that are like antennas trying to find sound out of the universe. You'll never hear the kirtans that go on in the spiritual world. You never hear Krishna's flute this way. Ever. You can get the most powerful microscope and look, for right now they call it the God particle. I don't know what particular particle they're talking about, but they call it the God particle. But you'll never see the super soul. You'll never see the spirit soul. And it's 10,000 times brighter than the sun. And it's right in front of you and you can't see it. We can't see it. Not by using material energy. Not with material consciousness. It's all about changing our consciousness. So, like you may say, well then, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I can't just be like that. There's that one story of some sage, I don't remember. It's just, a typical kind of yogi. I think I've even heard Prabhupada say it, but one sage is covered with hair. Long hair, long beard. Huh? Is that it? Yeah, maybe that's right, yeah. And he's standing on the bank of a river or sitting on the bank of a river. And every kalpa or something.
Yeah, for every hair on his head, he would live a kalpa.
Yeah. And then when one would fall out, and they were asking, well, would you like us to build some covering for you? No, why? It's only temporary. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be there for the entire, the whole life of the universe. It's only temporary. Why bother? We can't imitate that. I mean, or the way, some of the really great, like the way Jagannath Das Babaji or Gorkashore Das Babaji or the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis, we can't live like that because we're not on that platform. We're neophytes. And we're Prabhupada is trying to introduce us to the process and trying to give us the higher taste. The only way, because we're conditioned to think materially, and that materially we've been trained, our senses have been trained for many, many lifetimes to seek out the opposite sex, to seek out, various sense gratifications, of course, meat eating, I don't think anybody has a problem with that, but, even if that was a problem, we have to develop the higher taste, intoxication, what are the 4 regular principles again? Illicit sex, no intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. Yeah, I never understood that, but I know some people, when I was in high school, one of my friends, every night, he would go to Yonkers, it was where the Trotters are, and his father had an inn, and so they knew which long shot was going to win. He took us down there one time, and he said, "Yeah, it's going to be this in the 9th race, and put your money on so and so, this horse, Lucky Louie," and it was a long shot, 30-1. It's like an inside story, that certain people they let you know if you're the right people, that you'll get that one long shot and you can make some money. But generally speaking, he was so addicted. He was going to bingo games and gambling at bingo games at the church. That's how desperate he was to gamble. And sometimes he'd drive. I was like a junior or a senior in high school. He drives up in a red Mustang one morning. Well, where'd you get that? I want it. Yeah. But I never ever saw that as an option in my life. But we're gambling with this. This is like a roulette wheel, and it came up good for us. We came up in the human form of life at the time of Lord Chaitanya's movement, at the time that Srila Prabhupada came to the West. We were right at the right time, and but we have to fully take advantage of it. And that we really have to. It requires discipline, and it requires the right attitude, and constantly hearing and chanting. What is this material world? What happens when I just try to live the normal, quote unquote normal, if you call it, Western civilization style idea of having a family and supporting yourself? Try to live like that and see what happens at the end of your life. See how happy you are. Do a survey. Or you try to discipline yourself. You can still, you can have, like Prabhupada never told Brahmananda, Rupanuga, Satyarup to give up their jobs. 2 of them were social workers, and one of them was a teacher for special needs children. And he said, no, go to work, and then bring me the money. So, and give it. And he said, and then you bring your money and you give it to Krishna. And Brahmananda said, well, how do we do that? So you give it to me. But Prabhupada was using it, for printing books and so on, like that. But if you're a family man, like Prabhupada had devotees distributing books, like Dhanakali and Prita Shrava. They've been for years going out distributing books, buying books, and living a very simple life. You don't need a lot. You don't have to keep up with, oh, well, my friend has a 1,500 square foot house. I'm going to get a 3,000 square foot house. They got the latest whatever car is popular. I don't know. What's a good car? A Lexus or something. And no. We got something better. We're gonna have 2 of them. Yeah. And the latest phone, whatever generation we're at, 10 or 11 now. Yeah, I've already got it. I've already got my down. Huh?
We're at 12.
Oh yeah. See, I was just gonna say I got my down payment on 12 already. Yeah. Well, I got a friend who goes to Hong Kong. He gets the generation a year early. So.
When they stand in line, they spend the night outside the in line.
I was working in a mall selling Christmas decorations, and all of a sudden I realized, I was at a point, it was after Katrina and the thing in St. Augustine didn't work out, and I needed to do something. And so I get this devotee has these Christmas decorations. I really want to do it. And then I realized I have terrible penmanship. And the whole thing is about writing. And I have to write Theodore on the head of a pin. Can't I just put that? No, Theodore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got creative with my bad penmanship, and I practice. But anyway, I watched in the mall, and the night before this big sale, the latest Xbox or something was coming out. They were lined up through the parking lot to get this new video game. That's how intense it is. I'll really enjoy. I'll waste completely my entire day and night for the next 6 months playing this game to get to the highest level. They're very creative in coming up with ways to attract your senses, and so that you will always have. But what happens is, it's never enough, and you always have to have more, or it gets darker and darker. It gets kinkier and kinkier. Never, you can never just be. If you totally give in to sense gratification, the sense gratification has to get more intense. Otherwise, it's boring. There's no taste in it, and it also leads to health problems, and what to speak of the karmic reactions for it. So, but even if you make all these plans, you build all these things, I don't care how much insurance policies you have, or defenses you have. Like, how about Balmasora? And I just thought of it. He had so many layers protecting his palace. One was anilla, a gaseous substance, poison gas. He had an electric fence. He had barbed wire, and then there was this moat, and down in the moat was a 5-headed demon called Mora. Hence the name Murari. And this thing came up, and it was vicious. And so many layers of protection, and still they were able to. Now with this cyber attacks, what's this one that just came? They call it something about snowflake or something. Or the Russians did it, and they got into the most secure internet or files, for the biggest companies, and for our we don't even know exactly what they found out. And there's always some what?
Or how far they've gone.
How far they went? No, and whether or not they've even got rid of them, they don't even know that. But I'll tell you, and also maybe some of the young people don't know about this person. His name was Howard Hughes. He was the richest man growing up in the 50s and 60s. I remember as a kid, I'd hear all these famous celebrities talking about this guy named Howard Hughes. And yeah, they'd be on like a talk show, and big people, big celebrities were saying, yeah, well, once I actually got I saw him in a car. Or I know somebody whose cousin, actually his friend, his neighbor, like that, heard his voice through a door, one of those things. And they just always talked about Howard. Oh, Howard, he's the man who's got it all. He doesn't have to accept anybody's calls. He doesn't have to do anything. Even there was someone wrote a book about him, and it was an unauthorized biography, and he described this life of a man with really long hair and beard, with really long nails, and he lives in one little room, and he eliminates fluids into a jar in this room. never comes out of the room, sits there all day, shooting himself with something like morphine, and watching with the same movie over and over again. And everybody who came in to serve him had to have napkins and gloves because he was so paranoid of germs. He didn't want to get any germs. He had all this money, but now he's afraid, who's going to take it from him? Is it a germ? I'll get it sick. You know, how am I going to lose this money? How am I going to... And he invested a lot of his money in the best type of dialysis machines because he had problems with his kidneys. He had the best technical scientific equipment to keep his body alive. Even at the end, he also had made a lot of his money on military contracts, making planes and jets. He had one of the fastest private jets in the world. And there was a dialysis machine that would have saved his life, they say. And they were going, he was in the plane, and he was within like an hour, and he couldn't get there on time. But he was completely surrounded by all these people trying to avoid any contact with anyone else. He was afraid that someone was going to come and sue him for something. I heard once John Lennon said, it got to the point where I can tell which wino in the doorway around my apartment or my hotel was actually a sheriff that was going to serve me a subpoena. Because when you're wealthy, there's lawyers, they go ahead and sue you and for something, and then you just figure, I can't be bothered with this, I'll just pay it off, just get rid of them. So their whole lives that are constantly in fear. They're afraid, how are they going to lose this? Or like if you say you're a very, very beautiful person, male or female, now all of a sudden you're starting to get wrinkles, and you're starting to look older, and your hair's getting grayer. Oh, how will they still like me? So many things to consider. You lose your singing voice. They do surgeries on their vocal cords. There's so many fears, because everything in this world is temporary, and we are not made of matter. We're not a combination of material elements. We are spiritual. We cannot be happy living within a material body. You can get momentary cessation of anxiety, momentary cessation of distress, and you call it happiness. But real bliss, that is inward. Like I gave an example a few weeks ago, that there's a deer called the musk deer, and he's intoxicated by the smell of the musk. And he's constantly roaming through the forest. What's the source of that musk? And actually it turns out it's a gland right in here. It's within him. He is the source of the aroma that he's intoxicated by. But he doesn't know that. So whatever we dream of, whatever. But fruit of work, okay. We need people to you need to support a family. You need to go out and make money. But you have to utilize your Lakshmi, if you're going to do something like that, to have everything Christian. First of all, you should live a simple life. You don't need a lot. And you don't need to covet what other people have. That's in Christianity. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt, and don't be so greedy. And then you utilize what you make to support your family in a simple way. And the rest goes to Krishna, the Prabhupada's movement. But you have to have a higher taste. That higher taste comes from disciplined sadhana. And anyway, so that's why Prabhupada established this movement, and that's why he established this particular type of program, chanting Hare Krishna. 16 rounds a day, Mangal Artik, like that. So someone like to add something? Or?
I will.
Yeah.
When you're talking about our cues, it came to my mind when I read this Prabhupada meditation book, and one of the quotes was, depend on Krishna. He's the master of everything we do. It's not the place, the medicine, or the doctor, but it's Krishna.